Uh, around here I just basically put together a real simple little tent essentially that helps diffuse some of the light. I just work off of conventional household tungsten lighting. I don't have any strobe lights or off-camera flashes as of yet, but I find that being able to diffuse the intensity of the house lighting really does help in certain approaches to the work I'm doing. So that's essentially it. There's really nothing too confusing or elaborate. It doesn't require that much in the way of tools or fastening equipment. The simpler, the easier, the better, and this actually allows for a greater degree of portability, whether you're working, in my case, off of a desk or the kitchen table, or even on the floor. If you've got a wide open expanse somewhere that's out of the way from the rest of the household, this situation will come in really handy, even as much as, say, being able to take this outside on the back patio. If you want to work under natural sunlight and get some more interesting effects, this is very easy to transport and move about. Now, one of the things I want to touch base on before you get into setting up everything, not only in addition to having your first capture device, I do recommend having a larger Tupperware container with a lockable lid, sealable lid, that will allow a two-stage containment process. In this case, I've got a Western Black Widow that has been very patiently waiting for her next photo session. And what works out really well is that before I actually release her into the corral, I have the opportunity to help clean up any of the miscellaneous cobwebs or lint or debris that is sure to be on your subject when you initially capture it. This is also a great time to introduce yourself to your subject, lightly touch their front legs, let them know that you're not a threat. This is also going to let them know that later on during your photo sessions, when they see this brush again, it's still fresh in their memory, the contact, and this just allows you to establish a connection, a bond of trust, if you will, and from there it will prove to be rather a useful process, a stage to go through before actually just throwing your subject into the field and trying to get some good pictures. And also at this point in time, the clear plastic Tupperware also makes it a little bit more easier to try to get a rough idea of how long your subject is. Now, after you've gone through your 5 or 10 minute process, 15 minutes of getting to know your subject and studying them, cleaning them up, getting them all nice and ready for the big show, you want to make sure and go ahead and relock the lid. Set this aside a good 6 feet out of your working area so you can't accidentally knock it over. And from here, now you want to go ahead and set up your little studio here. Go ahead and position your camera, make all of your necessary adjustments to your ISO, focal length, make sure that your lighting conditions are applicable to what you're trying to achieve. Take a few sample shots. Make sure that once your subject's in the field of play, you won't have to spend a lot of time in readjusting and figuring out what to do while you've got a loose venomous and poisonous spider or other insect running about with your attention not fully on them. One thing I want to also point out is that your larger, heavier insects and spiders are going to have a very difficult time in trying to scale the smooth surfaces. Thus far, I have not yet experienced one that's been able to make a jailbreak. Now, on the front fence, where you do have to have a little bit lower height, in this case, this height is 3 inches by 15 inches, and the back depth here is about 8 inches in totality. The back height here is actually 6 inches. The higher the better. In fact, if you can get as high as possible to keep it out of the frame of the camera, so much the better as well. as if you do have your smaller insects like a bull jumping spider or eastern parson spider, any of your smaller spiders, they are going to definitely be able to climb up this. This will not be a problem. These particular spiders they can climb solid glass mirrors, solid metal, so they're definitely going to be able to climb. This is where your push brush is going to have to come into play, and you are going to spend some time trying to corral them back down to the interior and keep them in the perimeter so you can snap off a few good shots. This is really just a simple miniaturized setup that will allow you to practice getting that right shot and getting to know your equipment better, getting to understand your subjects better, so when you do go out into the great outdoors and hunt them down and in the thick of things, you will probably get more appreciable photos to show as trophy items that you might not normally have had captured without going through this process. So, you know, I like to think of it as a training gym or a martial artist's dojo where practice makes perfect for the real event. So, once again, I'd like to say thanks for spending your valuable time and allowing me this opportunity to share some bits of information that might prove to be of assistance in your photographic endeavors, and hopefully this will be as much as of an enjoyment for you as it has been for me. And once again, I'd like to state that this is just a working prototype. Feel free to be creative and make some improvements. You may not want to go with a two-sided configuration like this, depending on what materials you can get a hold of or have readily available. You may want to consider doing a one-sided option. In this case, maybe a teardrop configuration, or if you got enough material, do a circular formation. You may want to consider the attributes of a three-sided working perimeter or four-sided. You know, there's really not a limitation on the design ideas. Well, that's largely what I got to offer. I will apologize for being a little randomness and thought here. I'm still kind of under the weather. But before I sign off, I'd like to say thanks again for sharing your photos and the support that you folks have shown me on Flickr. It's been a rather enjoyable process, and I look forward to many years to come and seeing your work and sharing mine as well. And if there's any comments or questions or thoughts or ideas you want to share, feel free to make a posting in the video description below the description box, and I'll do my best to answer any questions or be as much help as I can. And until then, if you want to check out some of my work and follow what I've been able to do with this setup, you can definitely find me over at the photo the photo file sharing site of Flickr. I operate under the name Shakimba. That's SHAKIMBA, and from there you can kind of see some of the decently viewable photo results I've obtained in macro photography working with this very setup here, and hopefully you might find some useful points of interest that will help inspire you to do something greater and better, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Once again, thanks for the opportunity and for sharing some time, and hopefully I'll be able to upload some more videos in the future and prove to be of use. Thanks again.